Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here as always by the man who will never lock up the Raiders again, Kyle. Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm doing, not a great gambling fantasy or picks week for me at all.
No.
Not a great pick at all.
Uh,
But the spirits are high. We had great football this weekend. We had a Hail Mary in college football on Saturday. We had three, I think, was it only three? Three double-digit comebacks in the fourth quarter of games this weekend. And just as we all predicted, the Detroit Lions have the best offense in football through 2 weeks. So that's where we're at.
It's incredible. A fantastic week of football. Also, we have a $50 super chat starting off the show strong. Resident Giants fan here. We're 2-0 without Thibodeau and Ojulari. I'm not too advanced in my understanding of X's and O's, but excited to hear what you guys think about where my G-men are at. Big Blue Pride. Let's go. Yes, appreciate it, super chat. We will talk about the Giants in a bit. Also, I know a lot of Tua fans in the chat. I think we'll get to that as well. First thing I have to say though, Kyle, before anything else, before we get to the Sunday night game, before we get into all the games that we're going to get into, not a great week for you. I believe you went 1-5 in the picks so far, and you still have 2 games left to go in the picks. You missed your lock of the week. The only one you got right was the Broncos winning, and even that looked a little rough at times.
Yeah. It was not great at all. I still feel like I can bounce back here, get these 2 wins here. It's going to be close. I got the Bills. Feel good about that one. The Vikings, we'll see if they can pull that one off. Just got to bounce back. I think this happened to me last year. I had one horrific week, and then I started to chip away and ended up winning the regular season. So let's see if I can go do that again.
Yeah, winning the regular season. Yes, very.
I'm the Packers of Pick'em.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about the Packers of the NFL. Beginning back. I've been doing this a while. I got the segues down. This is again kind of an odd game. Justin Fields ends up only throwing 11 passes in this one. Aaron Rodgers looked very good. The Packers are back as we kind of expected. They get look all the way back here.
Yeah, they look all the way back for sure. It was a weird game just because it felt like the Bears were always it was if one play breaks the Bears' way, they're right back in this thing. That's what the entire half felt like. Second half felt like, at least. But at the same time, you look at the numbers. It's 26 first downs to 11 first downs, Green Bay to Chicago. That's a huge advantage. They had 25 more plays in the game. That's the Packers. They had over 0.7 yards per play more than the Bears. And like you said, Justin Fields threw the ball 11 times and they were down by double digits, basically most of the second half. And you're just like, how does that happen? It was like an uncharacteristic fumble from Aaron Rodgers. And then all of a sudden, all this happened to the point where the Bears are driving with the chance to make it a one-score game. And I'll be honest, I thought he was in the end zone. I thought it was a touchdown to make it 24-17. Don't know if it would have made a difference, but at the same time, Packers looked like a significantly better team, and this is kind of what I envisioned this Packers team to look like, where they're going to control clock, they're going to dominate on the ground, they're going to punish people with their running game, and then Rodgers is going to pick his spots to take a shot.
Yeah. Also, the Bears' running attack was very good. David Montgomery had 8.1 yards per carry. Khalil Herbert had 9.5 yards per carry in his 4 carries. And then Justin Fields, as the quarterback, had a rushing touchdown in there as well. You could debate 2 if you wanted to. It was. You're right. I thought the Bears were able to make plays. I thought the defense played better in the second half, especially with getting to kind of the breaks. But I still feel like there were some plays where you're like, yeah, this is kind of that Bears defense we were worried it would be going into the season.
Yeah, especially there was a couple passing plays where guys just got burned. I still have hope for Kyler Gordon to be a good corner. Collinsworth was calling it out too in this one. He's like, they're kind of going after him a little bit here. Sammy Watkins had that big pass play in the second half as well on Gordon and Jackson specifically that they were kind of going at. And yeah, I mean, this Bears team's young. This team has basically no finances dedicated to the team. This is very much a rebuilding year. And it just stinks because it's one of those, it's really hard to even criticize Fields in this one. I mean, he threw the ball 11 times. I guess, you include you include a couple scrambles and a couple sacks. He really dropped back less than 20 times in a game that they were down. If you're down 24-7 at halftime and you're still dropping back to pass less than 20 times in a game, that's just weird, right?
But at the same time, handing the ball off had more yards per play than throwing the ball did in this game.
Yeah, I mean, running the ball definitely worked. It's just there's a very specific reason though. Like typically, if you look at EPA, running plays typically have a lot less value than passing plays. And at some point, you're going to have to trust your quarterback to throw the football or prove that he can throw the football in these big games.
Yeah, so let's have another super chat. I mean, we're making money very quickly here on the Sideline Podcast. The great Overlap 618 says, tonight on the Overlap 618 show, is Nick Chubb the lowest IQ NFL player ever? Will Mike Evans and Lattimore fight in a celebrity boxing match once their careers are over? Will the Bears ever beat the Packers? This and more. Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair intro to the show.
That is a pretty fair intro. I'm willing to say I think at one point before the earth blows up, the Bears will beat the Packers.
I might have earth blowing up first.
Really?
So, I think so.
I mean, depending on who you ask, it could be like in 2 years or it could be like in a billion years still. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I think actually the surprise of the Bears beating the Packers would cause the earth to blow up either way. So I think they're actually directly tied in together.
Yeah, maybe like Bane from Batman will swoop in and make the field blow up before the Bears can actually win the game. So that'll probably be what actually happens.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what'll be how that works. But yeah, good game for the Packers, the good get right game. But who cares about the Bears Packers? That was the Sunday Night Football game. We had to start off with that. Kyle, I for one welcome our new Dolphins overlords. The Miami Tuas are able to go into Baltimore against a defense I was hyping up all week. And Tua, the statistics are absolutely insane. 469 yards, 6 touchdowns for Tua on the day. 21-point fourth quarter comeback. I believe it's only the 5th time in the past 20 years that's happened. This is insane. Tyreek Hill, 190 yards. Jalen Waddle, 171 yards. Those two guys combined with well over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns between the two of them. 22 catches. Is Tua an MVP candidate?
Yes, through 2 weeks, he's definitely an MVP candidate. So, I mean, listen, some of these throws, there were busted coverages that, guys got in behind. And, I mean, I can't even say all this. You have to give him credit for what he did. I thought he had 2 bad throws that led to interceptions. One was a crazy bounce that wasn't even like that. Like, it wasn't that much his fault, but he still kind of threw into a double coverage situation. But in the second half, they needed him to step up to win this game. And I mean, my gosh, did he step up and make throws when he had to win this game? You can't say anything else other than 6 touchdowns, 28 points in the fourth quarter. This was absolutely amazing. And you know what? Tua is definitely doing their victory laps this week, and it's deserved. Tua definitely deserves this. It was a fantastic game for him and a fantastic fourth quarter. I mean, it was good stuff. There's nothing else you can really say about it.
Yeah. Also, we missed the super chat during the Packers segment, but nice to see Aaron Rodgers take a page from Tom Brady and motivate his running backs to win for him. Little iffy for getting to transfer his will to win on that one handoff, but he did well. Rodgers did well again. Zachary Stewart loves the Tom Brady motivating meme, but back to Tua and all of the great stuff. Yeah, that's someone saying, Tua greater than Mahomes. I think that's probably fair. I think clearly fair. Yeah, I mean, just 100% easily better than Mahomes.
Is he better than Daniel Jones though?
No, not quite. But yeah. I mean, this is exactly why I was hyping up the Dolphins offense so much after week 1. I didn't expect this, obviously. No one did. But why I was like, this has real potential. And here's what I saw, Kyle. I saw one of the best secondaries in football saying, we don't know how to cover Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. We don't have, no team is built to do that. I think the only way you can really do it would probably be if you have a fast enough corner that can cover like Tyreek Hill and then you double team Jalen Waddle all game. And even that's still not a great strategy. That's just like something you can do. They basically kind of had to sit back and play zone. And Tua is amazing at picking apart zone, especially in the Mike McDaniel offense. So there's really not a great way to play this Dolphins team. I think we're going to see not a lot of 469 yards, 6 touchdowns. But we're going to see a lot of good passing attack from Tua this season. I think Tua's going to have a very good statistical season.
Yeah, and you look at what the Patriots did in week one, which obviously, the Dolphins won the game, so they did what they had to do. But the Patriots did hold them to 13 offensive points in that game. Jalen Waddle got loose for basically one big touchdown play, but it was kind of like Jonathan Jones has the speed to kind of hang with Tyreek Hill a little bit, and Tyreek Hill still had his numbers, but he couldn't take the top off the defense. And, I know Mike McDonald's the new defensive coordinator. It's still kind of the Ravens defensive scheme. Like, do you think if they could play without safeties, they would?
I think so. Yeah.
I just don't understand because they've been going against. You look at these times that they played against Tyreek Hill with the Chiefs, and now with the Dolphins and Jalen Waddle. What is this cover two bullshit that they keep doing with these guys? Like, I honestly don't understand why they keep doing this. Every time I see the Ravens play a Tyreek Hill offense, or now a Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle offense, they're leaving their corners out to dry on all of these plays, and it never works. And they keep doing the same thing over and over again. They got complacent in this game, and the Dolphins put it down their throat.
I think defensive coordinators as a whole sometimes have a hard time with when you're getting picked apart underneath, just sitting back and letting them pick you apart underneath. Because that's still a preferable strategy to giving up Tyreek Hill wide open downfield.
Yeah, I mean, if you just let them play underneath, they're not getting 28 points in the fourth quarter, no matter how efficient the offense is running. It's just incredibly difficult to have that many scoring drives in that little time if you're making them, basically walk down the field in that sort of sense. So it just made absolutely no sense. The Ravens, I mean, they let their foot off the gas in this one too. I mean, I give a ton of credit to Miami's offense coming back and winning this, but I also feel like the Ravens deserve a lot of blame for this loss too, because you look at this defense kind of mismanaging the end of this game, giving up big plays, explosive plays, and then the offense, when it seemed like at every moment in the beginning of this game, the Ravens were just creating an explosive play offensively. The problem with being an explosive play offense is when you stop creating explosive plays, your defense is on the field all the time. And they stopped creating explosive plays, couldn't really figure out how to establish this running game with J.K. Dobbins out again. And their defense was on the field the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, even though the Dolphins were down a lot of the game, they still had 15 more plays than the Ravens did. Also interestingly, Dolphins had 8 penalties. Ravens just had 1. Don't know what to make of that. But, one thing that I think you're right. I think the Ravens do deserve criticism. The game tying, or I believe it's game tying or game go ahead. I think it was game tying touchdown came on. Yeah, game tying touchdown came on a blown coverage. So it's like, yeah, okay, they deserve some blame in the secondary. But I want to go back to Tua for a second and talk about, we said one of the biggest winners of this offseason was Tua, right? Because Mike McDaniel comes to town. Tyreek Hill comes to town, and this seems like it's a perfectly tailor-made offense for him. I don't know if I've seen a team like this, to be honest. Like, this is a very exciting team to watch.
It's one of the fastest teams in football. I mean,
it's the fastest. No one has the speed of Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill offense.
And even guys out of the backfield, you're looking at Raheem Mostert, you're looking at, Chase Edmonds, who can break, Chase Edmonds breaks that big play at the end of the game out of nowhere when this team isn't running the ball at all. Mike Gesicki is, quick for a tight end too. He can't do the gritty, but he's quick. So it's just, you go through this roster and there's 5 or 6 guys on this team that really just kind of terrify you, it seems like, on the field at all times. And it's interesting to watch, and it's once again establishes the idea that investing in a wide receiver for your young quarterback is infinitely more important than investing in a good offensive lineman. They did get Teron Armstead. Teron Armstead's a good player. Teron Armstead didn't win this game. Having a guy like Tyreek Hill won this game at the end of it.
Yeah, no one's ever had a 21 point fourth quarter comeback and said, you know what the reason was? Their left tackle.
Yeah, so investing in wide receivers is important. Investing in dynamic wide receivers are important. The Dolphins did it, and they're reaping the rewards. They're 2-0, so give them credit.
Yeah, and it's also not to say that great left tackles also has a ton of importance too. Of course, lost in all of this craziness. Heartbreaking loss for the Ravens, coming off of what was. This was the story about this game. Was we were supposed to be having a legitimate MVP discussion about Lamar Jackson and the game he had, right? 119 rushing yards. He had that, very long rushing touchdown. He also had over 10 yards per attempt passing with 29 attempts, 318 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had one bad mistake which I believe I'm trying to remember what it was now. I believe it was a dropped interception late in that one. But I mean, it's a shame that they wasted Lamar Jackson and Marcus Williams, who had 2 picks. Shame they wasted their performances.
Yeah, I mean, you look at those two, and I think Rashad Bateman's proven that he's the real deal too.
Yeah.
You look at him, you look at Mark Andrews is obviously a nice player and one of the best tight ends in
Mhm.
football. And then they go and throw another tight end out there, and Isaiah Likely, and then Devin Duvernay has just been this big play magnet. He leads the game off with an opening kickoff return. I mean, this
Mhm.
team is explosive, and you can fault them a little bit for how this game ended, but once this team gets J.K. Dobbins going. I mean, there's a lot of pieces on this offense to get excited about.
Yeah, and I mean they're playing Tua. No one can slow them down.
That's true. Yeah. So, I
Mhm.
mean, only so much you can do there.
But in all seriousness, I want to ask the question: is it possible Tua ends up like leading the league in passer rating this year? Like, I don't think that's a crazy thing to think about, given the situation, given what we know he's good at. I think it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely possible. He's definitely going to try and be an efficient passer. Like you said, he's not going to have this many, he's not going to have games like this that often with the yardage count. He's not going to have 469 yards that often. Or I would say if you were to say this would be, he would have 2 more 400-yard passing days, or this is his only 400-yard passing day of the season. Which one are you taking?
I think I would say, I wouldn't be betting on him having too many more 400-yard passes. I mean, Kyle, this is his second game ever with more than 2 touchdowns. Like, this is completely, this is a new Tua that we're looking at here, but, a welcome one.
Yeah. And so, I mean, yeah, I mean, this is I still come away from this game thinking these are 2 good teams. These are 2 teams that I see in the
Hmm.
playoffs in the AFC right now.
Yeah.
So I think they're both. I mean, I think the Ravens are going to look back at this and kick themselves, but I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah, I agree. And listen, we know who Tua is, right? We know Tua does have faults. Tua is not a perfect quarterback. We're not going to pretend that, again, it seems like there's some Dolphins fans that just will not let you even, hint at there might be something imperfect with Tua. But like, as a whole, we get like, he does get a little flustered certain times when there's nothing there. He doesn't have the cannon for an arm the way some other guys do. But what he does very well, works with this offense very well, and it should continue to work very well.
Yeah, he's not moving in my top 10 after this game, but he deserves his flowers for this one.
Yeah, I think I agree. Let's move on. And he's also going to win MVP. Let's move on to another shocker, the Cardinals at Raiders. Cardinals overtime victory. I know you locked up the Raiders, and it seemed like an easy lock. I was thinking, man, Kyle, nailed that lock. That was obvious. And, Raiders led 20-0 at the half, would only score 3 more points the rest of the way, as the Cardinals, a 16-point fourth quarter. Kyler Murray. Is the takeaway from this, Kyler Murray just willed his team to a victory here?
It certainly felt like it, especially at the end. And his numbers aren't jaw-dropping or anything like that. But you go and just go, if this is one of those ones where you have to watch the game to understand its impact, because there was multiple plays where he did just about everything he could to try and make a play for his receivers or make a play for his running back or anything sort of like that. And he just made the plays at the end of the game when he really needed to. That scramble for the conversion was absolutely ridiculous. And to turn it around, and also, yeah, it was just a fantastic game to see him go through that. And for a guy who took a lot of stuff this offseason, it was just an incredible game. I thought down the stretch, he was able to make these plays, and while he was doing that, the Raiders were kind of sitting on their hands, and it cost them in this one.
Yeah, someone brought up the 20-second 2-point conversion. Yeah, he ran 84 yards to go 2 yards forward.
Yeah, I mean, it was insane, and it just looked like the defensive linemen are just trying to dive at him, and they're just missing. It looked
Hmm.
like a video game situation. It looked like I was watching someone try and play a Madden game on
I mean,
rookie
that
level.
started to interrupt, like that I believe it was a 4th down play. The Raiders had the game won. Max Crosby is basically like hugging Kyler Murray, and somehow Kyler Murray gets out of it and throws the ball downfield. They didn't convert, but there was a penalty because he extended the play. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely insane. And I mean, I mean, a little bit of credit to this Raiders pass rush coming at him all the time, because they
Hmm.
were on the field what felt like forever, and they were still getting after him. But I mean, it's hard to tackle a guy like that, no matter his size. He clearly just made plays, and that's why you pay a player like that.
Yeah. And hey, Marquise Brown had a big fourth down conversion as well. It was originally ruled a touchdown, got called back to the 1 yard line. But, that was Kyler just said, I'm going to trust that you're going to win your one-on-one matchup, which is like, maybe don't make a habit out of doing that, Kyler, on fourth downs, trusting how Marquise Brown's going to win his one-on-one matchup. But it worked out at that time.
It did work out that time. The Cardinals ran, I'm trying to do math here quickly. I'm not too good at it. 18, 27, 36, 36, and what's 36 plus 11 here? That's 47 plays basically over their last 4 drives.
Yeah.
That's
It's a good
that's a
amount of
basic
good amount of
that's
plays.
that's like a whole game.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
I mean,
that's incredible.
yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I mean, the 18 play drive at the end too, like you said, just some incredible plays there. And I mean, a little bit of credit to the Cardinals defense. We've been giving this Cardinals defense a lot of crap after week 1. They looked terrible in week 1. For the entire first half, they looked terrible in the first half. And then they turned it around. And I mean, I think some of this fault goes to the Raiders too for their performance. But I mean, they got stops when they needed to, and they got stops on the stretch to give their offense a chance to win this game.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing you have to bring up, Hunter Renfrow has now fumbled 8 times in the past, from this going back to the start of the 2021 season. He, had 2 in this game, obviously the 1 in overtime, leading directly. I mean, that's almost just a completely game flipping play. I mean, they were on the outside of field goal range, the fumble and the scoop and score, the Cardinals win right there. Cardinals love a good scoop and score in overtime. Remember the Packers playoff game, with Kurt Warner a few years back. I don't know why I brought that up, but that's the biggest blunder of them all, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, he had 2 fumbles in overtime because it was literally, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was 2 plays before that he fumbled the ball and Foster Moreau was able to bail him out with the recovery. And then the next one, Byron Murphy picks it up and returns it for a touchdown. I mean, this Raiders offense, I don't know what the hell happened. They had 20 points in the first half. And then they have in this, I mean, the Cardinals basically said Tyreek Hill is not going to, or not Tyreek Hill. Devontae Adams is not going to go nuts on this. Devontae Adams is not going to have a big game. They had 2 guys basically on him the entire night, and it worked. And then in the second half, it's like the Raiders drives here: 3 plays, punt; 8 plays, field goals; 3 plays, punt; 5 plays, punt. Like, you just can't do that to yourself. Like, that's bad football in a bad situation, and it cost them the win. And now this team's 0-2 in a division where you don't want to fall down and lose to bad games.
Yeah, and I still feel like they're an okay team. I just think that but this is I mean, devastating loss for the Raiders.
Uh, it is still early. This team can definitely turn it around. But when you still, I mean, they haven't played an AFC West team yet, right?
Yeah, I mean, their next 3 games.
They played the Chargers. Never mind. But still,
Right.
I mean, they still have, this is not an easy schedule to go ahead and navigate going forward here. I know you got the Texans on there, but there are a lot of losable games here.
Yeah, their next 3 games: the Titans, the Broncos, and the Chiefs. I mean, they're gonna, this one certainly stings. Any final thoughts on this one?
Cardinals feel like they might have turned the corner a little bit here in the second half. I mean,
they're still alive.
Is it just to the point now where, because especially, you watch this offense in the first half and it looked just as bad as it did in the first game against the Chiefs. Is it to the point now where it's kind of like, junkyard football, just let Kyler Murray kind of make plays for your team and see what happens until the Hopkins is back?
Probably. I mean, like, the best thing about your team is Kyler Murray. So that's how you're winning games is with Kyler Murray. Don't try to pretend you're something you're not. Don't say we have to establish the run. No, you have to establish Kyler Murray. Whatever, put the ball in his hands as many times as possible. That's the best strategy.
Yeah, and hope he's still in one piece by the time Hopkins gets back. Because I mean, I just look at this team and they ended up coming clutch down the stretch, but there's not enough guys here that I can rely on to make plays.
Yeah, I think I agree. Let's move on. I want to talk about this game just because it might not have been a lot of people were not a fan of watching this game. I was a great fan of watching this game. The Bucs at the Saints. Largely due to, again, I don't know where you want to start with this. Do you want to start with the game itself, or do you want to start with the brawl that broke out?
We can start with the brawl, I guess. I mean, it's the it's the Mike Evans, Marshawn Lattimore thing again, and these 2 clearly don't like each other. It spills onto the field again, and I mean, it just feels like that The Buccaneers, I'm still have some worries about their offense. I mean, I still think they're going to figure it out because they, once again, it was a game without Julio Jones. It was a game without Chris Godwin. Um,
And for
I
a chunk
think
without Evans.
Yeah, so I think this offense is going to figure it out, but it felt like they just kind of need to win this game, and get out of New Orleans, where you've had issues the past couple of years. They were able to do it, but yeah, this brawl was pretty crazy to see. They start shouting at Brady, and then Evans swoops in and hits them. And I guess from a fan perspective, how did you feel about this situation and watching that unfold?
Yeah, well, let's set it up first. I made if you want to check out, I made a video kind of breaking down the whole, just, spot by spot what happened. So my best retelling of this is, so there was what seemed like a pretty clear pass interference call, what should be called on Scotty Miller running down the sideline that wasn't called. It was Lattimore was in defense. He was the one who committed what Brady felt was a pass interference. So Brady runs down the field. He starts yelling at the referee he's saying, hey, that was pass I'm sure he was saying, hey, Mr. Ref, I think that you actually missed a call there. I think it was a pass interference and stuff. I think that was his exact words. And then I think Lattimore politely disagreed. He started getting into it with Brady. Brady started getting into it back. And as they're kind of yelling at each other, it looked like Lattimore accidentally bumped into Fournette, which Fournette didn't like, and shoved Lattimore. And Lattimore, I don't know what to call it, because it seemed like it's not a punch, but like it's kind of a punch. Like he's using his fist to like hit people, but like it didn't feel like a punch. It's almost like, I think in my video I referred to it as like a fist bump to the face, because I don't know how else do you like call it, but like a punch like motion. Evans sees this. Evans, escalates the situation further by going over and shoving Lattimore to the ground. And then in the scrum afterwards, everyone's focused on Evans. Somehow Leonard Fournette and Lattimore both find in the scrum, both find each other again. No one paid attention to them. And so they're now both shoving each other again. And the exact same situation happens. Then Russell Gage sees it. He grabs Lattimore's helmet. Lattimore doesn't like it. Lattimore fist bumps Russell Gage's face. So a lot of chaos going on here. I feel like a lot of different people escalated this situation from what was just Brady yelling at the refs to then I think Lattimore escalates it. I think Fournette then escalated it. I think Lattimore escalated it again. Evans escalated it. So it just felt like a lot of different guys one-upping each other.
Yeah, I mean that basically nails it to a T. It was just kind of funny to see it, and of course it's these two going at it again. So looking forward to the rematch on that part. We'll see how hopefully there's not any long-term suspensions going down from this. They both got ejected. I feel like that was fair. Did you feel like it changed the complexion of the game?
Not like X's and O's wise. I didn't, because the Buccaneers offense did get a touchdown out of that, but really it seemed like the way that, Winston just kept throwing to the other team. Like Winston just kept throwing to the Buccaneers after that. His next 3 drives were interceptions. So that was the bigger game change, I think. And, one thing I thought of is like, listen, Winston and Evans had a great relationship in Tampa Bay. Like Winston might be friends with, Evans. Listen, the exact same situation happened 5 years ago where Evans was defending Winston. And that was a very dirty play by Evans. This one was not what that was, but similar situation, certainly. And so for, that might have just gotten in Winston's head potentially. Like, we always talk about the X's and O's and the numbers and all this stuff, but like these guys are humans too.
Yeah, they definitely are humans. And I mean, it'll be interesting to see any ramifications from this. But yeah, I mean, this is one of the better rivalries I think in football right now. I mean, honestly, it's competitive. Every one of these games seems to be close. And there's a lot of stakes here. And it seemed like the Buccaneers took this game personally. I mean, Brady was screaming his head off on it. Felt like the first drive of the game. Like he wanted to score 40 on this one. And it felt like it was a passionate game, and that the Buccaneers were able to pull it out in the end. Had a couple drives finally work out their way and score touchdowns. That was a beautiful throw to Perriman. And Bucs came out with a win. And this defense is unreal to me, by the way. This defense is lights out right now. They're playing really good football. There's basically one explosive play, which was also a fumble on Olave. So, I mean, this might be the best defense in football through 2 weeks.
I mean, the Olave thing was again, as a Tampa Bay fan, hilarious. The fact that there was first the overthrow on Olave, so then Winston tries to, he overcorrects and underthrows Olave, leading to an interception, and then he finally hits Olave on the deep shot, only for Olave to fumble right after. I mean, it was just, chef's kiss.
How did you feel being on the other side of the James thing?
Oh, it was such a joy. I had so much fun. I am jealous that Saints fans got to experience this for so long, and I'm pleasantly happy to be on the other side.
Yeah. So, pretty crazy there. Bucs got a great game next week against the Packers. This will be fun. I've liked what I've seen from the Bucs so far. Need this offense to get healthy.
Yeah, that's really is the thing. I mean, the offense needs to be healthy, and the Saints just kind of do this, and they beat themselves to some degree as well. A botched snap, that could have been a touchdown. They miss up a blocking assignment on a 4th down and 1 inside the 10. So it's like you work out the kinks, and every team has to do that. Every team is going to get better as the season goes on. That's not entirely fair to say that. The Saints will get better as the team goes on. I think the next time these two teams play each other, they're going to look very different teams. The Saints will be getting, both teams will be getting healthy. Saints will get Kamara back, which they definitely missed him in this game. So should be interesting.
Yeah, I agree. It'll definitely be it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I like these. I still really like these two teams, and I think it's going to be I think these are two potential playoff teams I saw this week.
Yeah. Should they start during Bucs Saints games, wrapping the Microsoft Surface Pros in bubble wrap?
I mean, it depends on how willing they are to go through all of them. I guess they have the rubber cover on them, right?
Yeah, maybe. Put an extra one on Brady's.
Yeah. What if like the ref or the coach on the sideline before had like Peaky Blinders on? And it's like you can't watch his show now. Brady just destroys the tablet.
Right. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. Where did these go during the week? Do people just take them home?
I don't know. Do the teams hold them or do the NFL hold them? I don't know how it works.
Yeah. Also, it was very funny seeing Bruce Arians from the sideline yelling at a ref during. You can take him out of the head coaching role. You can't take the head coach out of Bruce Arians.
It was so goofy watching him. It felt like, I mean, I cover high school football. It felt like a high school athletic director, like just down on the field, just walking around and like, talking to his old coaches. What is he doing down there?
I mean, he's part of the. I know apparently he works at Brady like every day during practice. So I don't know. Maybe that's why Brady. Maybe feeding the rumors. That's why Brady wants Wednesdays off now. I don't know.
a little more time away from Arians.
Yeah, I just love I just love that narrative and how there's no evidence to support it, but so many people believe it.
Yeah,
that Brady and Arians hate each other.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going around at Tom Brady, so we'll see.
That's true. Yeah, we don't need to get into any of that. I don't know what's that all about. Let's talk about a stunner here. Bengals Cowboys. Okay, panic meter, Kyle. 1 to 10. 10 is forget about the playoffs. They're done. 1 is they're still just as good as I thought they would be heading into the season. Where are the Bengals?
Man. Let's go 7.
Oh, wow. A bit high.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm a little panicked because they're not winning football games. So I can't say I'm not panicked at all. But that being said, like, I still think this team has a chance to make the playoffs, but I think they're playing bad football. I mean, it's as simple as that. They're not playing good football right now. They got torched in the first quarter of this game where this defense, where it seemed like the Cowboys getting a yard last week was almost impossible. And they go and get 14 points in the first quarter of this game. The defense started the game asleep. They kind of figured things out and, tightened things up the rest of the day. And the offense couldn't get out of its own way. It seemed like, there was good drives here for the offense. I think the overall numbers don't look horrible. Well, actually, they kind of still do look horrible. But it just seemed like anytime, like, they couldn't convert big plays, it seemed like. Anytime they had a big moment in the game, this offense wasn't going to convert. And, I mean, this sack thing is insane right now. 6 sacks in this game. And, I mean, this has to be on Burrow at some point too, right? This has to be on Burrow that he's taking this many sacks.
It's mostly on Burrow. I mean, these sacks are coming 6 seconds, 7 seconds into play. The offensive line is not the issue here. Like people see sacks and always blame the offensive line. This is a Burrow thing. This is not an offensive line thing.
Yeah. I didn't think he played well.
The line's not great. I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying it's mostly Burrow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a problem right now, and you can't win football games, constantly killing yourself and constantly ending up with these negative drives because you can't convert third down situations because you're taking sacks and you're taking negative plays. I just thought it was a bad game for the Bengals, and I think for 2 weeks now they've looked kind of bad in stretches of these games.
Well, here's my theory about the Bengals so far. And to me, their defense, I would still say their defense played well. Giving up 20 points in the NFL is a good week, even if it is to a backup quarterback. Like, yes, the 14 points in the first quarter isn't great. 6 points in the next three quarters, though, is fantastic. So,
Yeah.
to me, their defense, you're right. They should have played better at the beginning, but that's not to me, the story is their offense and only scoring 17 here. And my theory is we're seeing teams take Jamar Chase seriously. Last year we kept kind of saying, when are teams going to start treating Jamar Chase like a number one receiver? You had teams sort of still putting their best corner on him, saying, we can take care of him, and then getting burned, a lot. We're now seeing teams say, okay, well, we have to take Jamar Chase seriously. And in doing that, you partially will take T. Higgins more seriously, just when you're playing a more deep coverage. And you're playing like two safety deep, that's going to also help with T. Higgins. The Bengals need to figure out how to counteract that. And I think about the Bears game last year where the Bengals got upset by the Chicago Bears. The Bears were playing cover two, and Zach Taylor was like, well, I guess I have to run the ball. They're playing cover two and ran the ball like every play. And then the Bengals lost. And then, Burrow also had 3 straight interceptions in that game. To me, I think the Bengals are kind of in what the Kansas City Chiefs were in. Maybe this is, it's very different situation, but almost like a Lamar Jackson type scenario, right? Where Lamar wins MVP his second season, but then teams kind of figure out the best way to play him. And then he's still good, but he's, they have to figure out other ways to win now. I think the Bengals might have to do that this year, and they got to figure it out quick. Luckily, they'll play the Jets next week, although, who knows? They had a great comeback of their own.
Yeah, who knows on that part. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. So they're going to have to find a new approach to this. I mean, it seems like they're, maybe it involves a little more Hayden Hurst in this offense. I mean, Tyler Boyd, I think, has to get going a little bit too. So maybe teams just have a lot of film on this Bengals team from that playoff run and are now using it, and the Bengals aren't adjusting. Maybe they will adjust down the stretch, but right now, you're hitting the slippery slope where you can't continue to lose games. And these first, this first stretch of their schedule was where we thought they could kind of rack up some wins. When you're looking at the Steelers, you're looking at the Cowboys without Dak, and now they're going on the road to the Jets. I think a lot of people were kind of thinking the Bengals would start the season 3-0 and then have this stretch of the Dolphins, Ravens, and Saints that they'd look at. Now you're setting yourself behind and you got your tough games ahead.
Yeah. Luckily, we can trust Zach Taylor's brilliant brain. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. We'll see how that works out. So I guess the question is like, is there just more parity in the NFL than ever before right now?
Go ahead.
I was just saying, because you're looking at some of these teams who came back and won games this weekend. There's still good players on the Cowboys despite Dak going down on both sides of the ball. There's good players in, even teams that we thought would be in the bottom of each conference. There's good players on both of these teams. Is it just a more balanced NFL right now, and that's why we're seeing more upsets?
It's a great question. I think it's possible. I mean, we said last year was the year of the upset, but now this year's kind of been the same thing. So it's possible that, I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe it's just with the larger emphasis on quarterback play in today's NFL, there's just going to be more variance when it's a one player thing. Maybe that has an aspect to it. I don't know. Or maybe it's just, you're getting better, more and more talent, which can kind of just create, select players on each team can take over a game. Like, the Lions, which we'll get to, it's like players who aren't household names took over that game. So maybe it's just that. I don't know, but there probably is more parity now than ever.
Yeah. So I guess, it'll be interesting. So this was a weird game. Cowboys didn't really do anything after the first quarter, but Cooper Rush took care of the ball. He did his job. I guess you give him credit for that as the backup quarterback making plays. So, I guess the overall question is, are you buying or selling the Bengals still?
I think I'm buying. I think I'm buying low right now.
Okay. So you still think this team's going to bounce back and make the playoffs?
I think so. I think they'll have a bit of a, tough loss, but I'm still gonna bet on them. Week 1, again, Burrow's not gonna turn the ball over 5 times, and I think that this one was definitely more concerning. But hey, gotta give credit to the Cowboys too. They played coverage well. Trayvon Diggs has played, he played great this game.
Yeah, he's had a couple good games.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just the true lockdown corner we were all waiting for now.
Sure, I guess it's listen. He's a he's a unicorn in what he's gonna do. So we'll figure that stuff out. Let's move on. Let's go to let's talk about this game. Texans Broncos. Just because out of the uniqueness of it. I mean, the top story has to be the Nathaniel Hackett of it all. Where I mean, he had a sequence where they. He was debating whether or not he wanted to go for it or kick the field goal. Eventually decides to kick the field goal, but due to waiting too long, they take a delay of game, causing them to have to punt. And then from that point on, the home crowd for the Broncos were counting down the play clock. So that way the offense was aware of how much time was left. We saw boos. Russell Wilson has now been booed by both the Seahawks and the Broncos, and we're just in week 2. So the Broncos won a game, but it has not been pretty through 2 weeks in the Russell Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett era.
Yeah, I'm selling this team right now. Like,
Okay.
I had high expectations, and I watched that first game against the Seahawks, and I mean, part of it is the Seahawks secondary might be the worst in football, which we all kind of figured was going to be the case. But there were still things I like from this Broncos offense, but they're undisciplined, they're sloppy, and their coach can't seem to make a decision, at the right time. And then Russell Wilson can't run. Like, he doesn't move. And they've had multiple like 1 yard situations where you think a team with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon would be able to get 1 yard in these situations, and they don't. And they can't put their quarterback on the line of scrimmage and sneak it because apparently he can't run at all or get a QB sneak for a yard. I can't buy into what this team's selling right now. If Judy misses any sort of time too, this offense looked just pathetic without him out there. It's Cortland Sutton bust right now. And yeah, I mean, I can't buy into this team right now with the way this offense is playing.
Yeah, back-to-back 16-point games. Luckily, you played the best thing for the Broncos was that they played the Texans this week. That was kind of the thing because hey, and their defense has looked, I guess, at least it looks solid. I would say again, not the most difficult competition. Part of me feels like okay, there's still things they can figure out. Like I have to assume that this inability to convert on inside the 5 plays, like that, there is a bit of a that's going to regress to the mean, and they're going to start getting some touchdowns there, right?
I would think so, but why is it that your quarterback can't get under center? Like, I don't like it just blows my mind when teams can't put their quarterback under center when they need a yard.
Well, I mean, will we be able to see over what's going on?
If you need a yard, how much do you need to see downfield?
Maybe get Russell Wilson a step stool to be under center.
It might require it. I don't know. I can't understand why teams can't figure this out. Well, or if your quarterback cannot do this simple thing, how is this supposed to work? I just don't get it. Like it just seems like a weird situation that he's always in shotgun. Like is there I don't know, is there an injury that we don't know about, or is it just a comfort thing that he does not like being that close to the line of scrimmage? I just don't get the situation.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a bizarre situation. He had the weirdest interception of all time in this game, the Christian Kirksey. I still don't know how that was intercepted. I can't figure it out.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, it seemed like a lot of his balls were kind of up for grabs. I mean, he had a really bad game. Like it was shockingly bad. I do think we should give a little bit of credit to this Texan secondary, which might just be
Yeah.
better than we thought.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, this secondary was an absolute mess last season, and it does seem like that they kind of have this approach, no matter who they play, where it's going to be okay. We're playing deep safeties. We're not going to give up 50-yard touchdowns. We don't have, it's just they don't have the top end talent to really run anything else, and it's kind of working. Like they're not giving up explosive plays in their first 2 games. That being said, I mean, as far as rookie corner goes, we're going to get to Sauce Gardner here in a second too, but not many rookie corners have started better than I thought Derek Stingley has started these first 2 weeks.
He's been fantastic. He's been such a joy to watch so far. And again, you can only evaluate so much watching the broadcast, but his first game was great. In this game, from what I saw, also looked great. So the Texans are, I don't know, Texans are maybe a little frisky. They're still 0-1, a better record than we expected.
Yeah. One more tie than we expected. That's for sure.
Right now, gun to your head, do the Broncos make the playoffs?
No.
Yeah, I think I said no as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no. I'm just not seeing it right now from this team. I think they got a long way to go.
But there is time at least.
Yeah, and they definitely need Judy to play. This offense looked a lot worse without him out there. So, I mean, they could still fix some of this stuff, and then maybe I'll buy back in. But right now, I'd say no. I think there's teams better than them.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go from one shocking score to another one. What the hell is happening to the Indianapolis Colts? Is this? I guess they really just can't play in Jacksonville. This is 8 straight losses by the Colts in Jacksonville. Matt Ryan had the statistical day of 16 for 30, 195 yards, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions. They come away with 0 points in this one. Jonathan Taylor only got the ball 9 times, had 6 yards per carry on those carries. Part of it, right, is the not having Alec Pierce and not having Michael Pittman. So, like, okay, of course, you're going to look worse when that happens. And that's an excuse. That is a reason to look bad. That is the reason to get upset, all of that stuff. It's not a reason to lose 24-0 to the Jaguars, who maybe are better than we expected. I don't know. But, Kyle, what were your thoughts on this one?
I think this Jaguars team's better than expected, and we'll get to that in a second. But let's do this. When Michael Pittman's not out there, would you take this Colts receiving core, or would you take this Jaguars receiving core from last year as the worst receiving core of the last 10 years?
I think if I'm still getting Alec Pierce, I'm taking the Colts.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. But, I mean, this is unbelievable. Like, who the hell is Ashton Doolin? I mean, I watch a good amount of football, and this guy's leading this team in receiving. This group sucks. Matt Ryan has a 6.3 QBR. That's terrible, obviously. 3 picks. This is a bad receiving core, and it's another one where the Colts don't invest in this group. And if you're going to have one guy try and do everything, and I think Michael Pittman's good. Michael Pittman's not an all-pro receiver either. And it's just amazing when you lose one player who's not even an all-pro player, and this offense just falls apart in the passing game.
What, you're not a big Denzel Patman fan?
No, I am not.
Okay, you're not buying his jersey anytime soon?
No, I won't buy him. Mo Wiley Cox, Paris Campbell. I'll sell all of these guys. I'll give you 1,000 guesses to try and guess what college Ashton Doolin went to.
Okay, well, I could probably get it in 1,000.
I don't even think you'd get it in 1,000.
What college did he go to?
He played for a team called the Malone Pioneers.
Oh, that was going to be my first guess. Yeah, that would have been obvious.
Malone Pioneers. This is unbelievable. Like, I just can't. Like, this is a disservice to this franchise, to these fans, to actually like trot this receiving core out and expect to win football games. This is a bad team. This is a bad team on offense, and Matt Ryan looks super washed right now. And they got beaten up by what looked like a significantly better football team. Like, I don't know how many points you expect Michael Pittman to add this team and Alec Pierce, but they looked like a significantly worse football team than their opponent today.
Maybe I'm crazy. I kind of want to see a little more. I get it. I should be selling the Colts. I should be giving up on them. But, like, and they're playing the Chiefs next week. So it's like, this does not seem like it's going good for them. But I'm kind of like, I don't know. Maybe if Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce are back, maybe it could be okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is week 2. So, I mean, I guess I can't overreact to it. But at the same time, like, what could actually change to make this team significantly better? I mean, we were looking at this team that this is 2 easy wins. Before the season, we picked this team to win the division. We said this is 2 easy wins off the gate. These are the 2 AFC South bottom feeders. They tie one in a game they were down, I think 20-3 at one point, and then they go and get shut out in the second game. So that's just atrocious football. I mean, there's nothing else to say about it.
Yeah. Also, we have something. Jackson will be gloating about Hutchinson, but won't give Walker any credit. True.
Listen, Walker's been good through the first 2 weeks. So
Trayvon Walker had the weirdest play of all time, where like it was one of those. I thought for sure it was one of those like coverage sacks, but like you still have to give credit for him getting there. Like he's right at the quarterback, and then it seemingly could easily tackle Matt Ryan, and somehow doesn't. I don't know how. Like he must have been held or something. I didn't see the play, but he had one of the weirdest pressures of all time, where he basically just like headbutted Matt Ryan, and then Matt Ryan was able to get out of it.
The only thing I don't like about Trayvon Walker is his number's too close to Josh Allen, and it takes me like 5 seconds to figure out which one's which.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, one of you, someone wear 52 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We gotta fix that. We gotta figure that out.
Yeah, they should have planned that better.
I agree. But besides that, I think he's been good through the first 2 weeks. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, man, this team is number 1 in the AFC South.
We also have a great super chat. Thank you for super. Malone University doesn't even have football anymore. Killed the program in 2019. Incredible.
Ashton Doolin, the last surviving member of Malone football. Hey, good job, man. Proud of you.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, let's get to the Jags here. The red hot Jacksonville Jaguars at 1-1 are the number one seed in the AFC South for 2 weeks. The Titans still have to play, so we'll see if that changes. But Trevor Lawrence, that guy's pretty good.
Yeah, he looked. I mean, I thought that he looked very good in this one. I mean, the biggest takeaway too was like Christian Kirk is living up to the contract. So kind of one of those. I think usually when everyone makes fun of something, the people tend to be right, but it's not always. And maybe this is one of those not always situations. Also, first round pick Devin Lloyd had an interception in this one as well. Very fun. So and where I talked about Trevor Walker. So a lot of excitement with these young Jacksonville players.
Yeah, and you just go through the roster too. Like you said, Kirk had a big game with 2 touchdowns. You look at a guy like, I don't think ETN's numbers jump off the page. He had 53 all-purpose yards, but I thought he made some pretty explosive. He had some pretty explosive moments in this one. James Robinson just defying the odds coming back from this injury, and all of a sudden is back. It just seems back to normal all the way. And then, you look at this defense, which. It's crazy to think this defense that they had in 2018, which was one of the best in football, with guys like Jalen Ramsey, which guys like Miles Jack. You go through that Jacksonville roster at that time that was just unreal and a very good defense. They trade a bunch of those guys, and then all of a sudden you look at the roster now and it's like Andre Sisco, awesome game. Devin Lloyd, awesome game. Trayvon Walker, very good through 2 weeks. Tyson Campbell, having moments. Josh Allen, unreal. Olokun, making plays. It's just like they sold all those guys from that 2018 team. They're still right there, and all of a sudden this defense looks dangerous all of a sudden.
Yeah. Joe in the chat says Kyle selling Indy, buying Jax. Here's my question. What percentage does Jacksonville have at winning the AFC South?
Winning the South.
Because you got the Texans, the Colts, and the Titans, none of which have a win yet. Jaguars, only team with a win.
Well, let's go 25%. There's 4 teams, so let's go 25%.
Okay, but that's a good amount.
I think if I were to pick right now, based on what I watched in this game, I would say the Jaguars are a better team than the Colts.
Interesting. I get it. Maybe it's just you could very well be right. I like a bigger sample size, and sometimes that hurts me because sometimes we just saw them beat the Colts 24-0. So I probably should say that, but it's not a crazy take. I was gonna say like 10%, which I still think is a decent chunk. I wouldn't have said 10% 2 days ago.
Yeah, I think they're at that point now where maybe sometimes this stuff just happens quicker than we think, and especially when it comes to quarterbacks. And
yeah.
Maybe Lawrence has just arrived quicker than we think. And if he's good, that raises the floor and the ceiling of this team significantly. Now, I'm not saying we'll reevaluate this as we go. Maybe the Colts start to turn things around, but the Colts have not looked like a competitive football team through the first 2 weeks. And the Jaguars, even in a loss to Washington, I thought have looked like a competitive football team. And it looks like they're going to be in a lot of games this season.
Kyle, I'm excited for a Texans Jaguars game. That'll be interesting to me.
What if we had 3 Florida teams in the playoffs? This is going to be wild. Ooh. We got some good stuff brewing right here.
Yeah, that could be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Let's move on. Still got 7 games left, so it might be a bit of a long podcast, Kyle.
Yeah, let's burn through a few of these.
Okay, well, let's go to the Falcons Rams. We almost had a 28-3 comeback, which would have been very fun. Did not quite happen, but it was still it was an entertaining game. I thought both teams had their miscues in this one. My quick thoughts on it. I thought that the Falcons played okay. I think, again, they look competent. They don't look like a star team, but I still feel like the Rams need to work out some of the kinks in their team. Stafford threw 2 picks in this one. They're still making mistakes, and I don't know if you feel thrilled if you're a Rams fan so far in the title defense.
I definitely don't think you should feel thrilled because you're also looking at the point where, it's like the Falcons had missed field goal, turnover on downs, interception in the first half after getting some yards. You made the plays on defense, but this could have easily been a much closer game in the first half. And then the second half, obviously the Falcons made their huge comeback. The Rams had some big moments in this game, but like you said, a lot of it just kind of still feels a little discombobulated, and like Matt Stafford still wasn't like I thought he had some really good throws in this game, and I thought he had some really bad throws, and it's just kind of a weird start to this team that we had high expectations for.
Yeah, I think I agree. Again, but at the same time, these were kind of issues that we felt like could be a real thing going into this season. Of like, there are some flaws in this team, and kind of what they've done is they've still had their stars there. And Jalen Ramsey had a great interception at the end of this game, and that's kind of what they need to do until they figure it out. Right? Let their stars, will them to some wins. And hey, we saw some Allen Robinson sighting in this one. He had 53 yards, so there you go.
Yeah, he got I think the first touchdown of the game, didn't he? So yeah, I mean, good job from them figuring that out. Still got some kinks to work out, but you got the win. That's kind of all that matters, I think, at this point. And you continue to figure out your defense. Jalen Ramsey had a couple big plays. We'll see how the Rams adjust going forward. I'm not taking a whole lot from this game. I still think the Falcons might just be the good bad team of the NFL. Like, I don't think this could be a team that wins like 4 or 5 games, but you look at their roster and you're like, oh, I like this guy. I like this guy. I love Drake London, by the way. Drake London's been awesome. He might be – I don't want to get too hyperbolic, but he's been, I think, the best rookie receiver so far this season, and there's been a lot of good ones too. So I thought he was fantastic in this game. I thought he had some really nice catches, and I mean, I think this Falcons team feels like a year or two away.
Yeah. Let's go on to we talked about one great rookie receiver. Let's talk about another one, which I can't believe I waited this long to talk about this team. I should have put them earlier. That's bad by me on creating the order. But the greatest comeback of all time happened today with yesterday now on the East Coast here. But the Jets somehow, the Browns go up 2 touchdowns with about a minute and a half left. And, Nick Chubb had an opportunity to potentially slide at the 1-yard line and not score a touchdown, but ice the game. But it was also kind of tough because the first down marker was at the 3-yard line, and he was avoiding a tackle. So I kind of understand why he went into the end zone. I don't hate him for that. But then, the Jets, who also had no timeouts at this point, march down the field, get a quick touchdown right away, get the onside kick, march down the field, score another touchdown in what was the greatest comeback of all time.
Yeah, I mean, you could I think you could say oh, Nick Chubb, you should have slid down instead of getting a 3rd touchdown. But at the same time, is he expecting his defense to give up 14 points in a minute and a half?
Right.
How is he supposed to prepare for that? I mean, I don't know. It's just at that point, I didn't think it was as big of a deal. It was kind of funny to say, oh, Nick Chubb blew the game, even though the defense got torched on a couple plays. It was a pretty wild ending, though, and set up for a fantastic finish. Terrible hands team from the Browns. Terrible defense at the end of this, getting torched for big plays. And then a terrible throw from Jacoby Brissett was the icing on the cake for me in this one. Joe Flacco has thrown the ball 103 times through 2 games.
How is that possible?
I don't know. I don't know why.
Are you including practice?
No, that's total pass. And it's
what do you think has happened more? Joe Flacco throwing in the games for the past 2 weeks, or him just throwing in practice for the past 2 weeks?
It might be games. He's probably got to ice that shoulder a lot, man. I mean, that's just an unreal number. 103. I mean, it's because they've fallen behind in both of these games by so much. But I couldn't believe that he has 103 pass attempts through 2 games. I mean, it's just insane what they're doing to this poor guy, running his shoulder into the ground. The funniest thing, though, about this is, nobody's rooting for the Browns anymore, right? It seemed like a collective, yes, the Jets won, when the Browns were the team everybody rooted for.
Yeah, I think signing signing Deshaun Watson, trading for Deshaun Watson will do that to you.
Yeah. I mean, it was a fun ending, though. This was kind of crazy. I mean, it was just the icing on the cake of a really good morning of games where the Jets just pulled this one out, and elite quarterback Joe Flacco is back, baby. Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah. Yes. Joe Flacco, it's hilarious that he wears 19. It's I'm surprised he hasn't just changed his name and grown a beard. I feel like he doesn't want anyone to know who he is. He just wants to make a paycheck throwing a football.
It's like watching Hugh Jackman in the last Logan movie where he's just this grizzled. He's trying to be in disguise. I mean, it's just fantastic. It's really good stuff, but it's just so funny that a couple broken plays. Corey Davis has 2 catches, 83 yards. One of them's a 66-yard touchdown. Just crazy stuff.
And of course, we should mention, the segue. Garrett Wilson, incredible, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yes.
So that was awesome to see. And then for the Browns, seems like they got Amari Cooper in the mix now. He had 100 yards of his own. I thought Brissett actually had a decent game in this one. Like he was not the problem for the Browns. The problem was the last minute and a half. And of course, Nick Chubb is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, this Browns offense is rolling a little bit, and they were able to throw the ball more in this game than they did in week one. Bad throw at the end, though. That was the last one.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to your team, why don't we? Let's go Patriots Steelers. I hit my lock. I was all in on your New England Patriots, on our New England Patriots, really. Where my thought on this game was, Patriots defense played very well. Steelers should, might be time to get off the Mitchell Trubisky Express a little bit. And also, I thought, the Patriots still have to figure out their offense. That one Nelson Aguilar play really was kind of the difference here.
Yeah, I mean, my takeaway from this was Kenny Pickett has to play. Like, what are you gaining from trotting Mitch Trubisky out there? Honestly, like, unless really that getting somewhere over 500 is that important to you, which I mean, I guess it might be, but at the same time, like you're not building you're not setting your team up for success for the future without seeing what Kenny Pickett has. I mean, this guy's just not very good. I mean, even his, throws to the outside that did work. Like it seemed like Deontay Johnson could kind of have what he wanted in this game, and they just weren't able to take advantage of it enough. It felt like Mitch Trubisky. I mean, we knew it beforehand, but Mitch Trubisky is not a very good quarterback. And I think there's really no excuse, I think, not to go to Pickett at this point, unless he looks that bad in practice. If he looks that bad in practice, you got a bigger problem on your hands because you're drafted in the first round. But he just doesn't look like a real quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I thought that, Pickett, from what I understand, has looked good in practice. I mean, he looked great in the preseason, when we were all raving about him then. Listen, the logic behind signing Mitchell Trubisky, there was plenty of logic behind it. Hey, we don't know who's going to be our quarterback. We want to make sure we don't go into the season with horrible quarterback play. Let's get someone who at least won't be a disaster out there. Let's sign Mitchell Trubisky. Okay, I get the logic behind it, fine. But you drafted not only a rookie quarterback, but a rookie quarterback whose one of his selling points was he's the most pro-ready rookie quarterback. How are you now when your quarterback is, in the Blaine Gabbert zone, struggling to get 5 yards per attempt, still sitting here and saying, you know what, we're going to keep him out there. I'm totally with you. A huge Mike Tomlin guy, but part of me does feel like if Kenny Pickett is here, there's a chance the Steelers are 2-0 right now.
Yeah, and I think the other problem with it too is you look at their offense and it's like Najee Harris isn't necessarily an explosive running back. I think he's a good running back, but he's not an explosive running back. And he's just going to face loaded boxes all game because of the situation. And this team just doesn't create explosives. They had one big pass. They had one pass play over 20 yards in this game. So I just, you can't win in the modern NFL if you can't create explosive plays. And this team just doesn't have explosive plays in their pocket right now.
Yeah. As for the Patriots, kind of the last thing we can talk about with them, again, this passing attack, very bizarre. Like the stat line is hilarious. Where you have Aguilar 110 yards, Jacoby Myers 95 yards, and then next is Kendrick Bourne with 16 yards. It was Aguilar and Myers were doing the heavy lifting here.
Yeah, Myers was the bright spot of this team in this game, and they started to run the ball at the end of it. But yeah, I mean, they haven't invested properly and smartly in NFL receivers, and this is what you're getting out of it. I thought Aguilar even had a good game, and I thought Myers had a really good game. But yeah, I mean, if you're not going to invest in wide receivers, that's kind of what an offense is going to look like. And that even takes away from the fact that I thought Cole Strange had a really good game in this one. I thought he had a good game as a rookie in this one. Going against Cam Hayward, he had some big plays down the stretch too. I thought Strange was a very good rookie in this one. But it doesn't really matter because you can't create a ton of explosive plays. You had a jump ball that ended up a touchdown, and you had a couple big plays to Myers. But outside of that, you just couldn't really do a whole lot offensively. It was better than week one, but still not great overall.
How far are the Patriots going this year? Are they winning the Super Bowl? Are they first out in the playoffs? What's happening?
I think this team could win. This team still has a lot of variance to me. If they're able to figure some stuff out offensively, I could see this Patriots team winning anywhere between. I could see him being a 5-win team, and I could see him being a 10-win team. Honestly, And 10 win, that being a 10 win and first team out of the playoffs sort of thing. I do think there's a chance this defense is pretty good. They played well in this game again. Now, part of that is Trubisky, but I also thought, if you look at the Dolphins and what they were able to do in week 2, I thought they had a pretty good game in week 1 as well. And I think it's a good front line. I think Christian Barmore has been awesome in the first 2 weeks. I think Matthew Judon's been awesome in the first 2 weeks. But, I mean, it's still to be determined, I think, how far, this offense has to play better for it to hit that 10-win mark. And I still think that's probably the ceiling of this team. If that offense is able to get going, this looks closer to a 7 or 6-win team right now.
Interesting. I think I'm still a little higher on them. I do like their defense. I hope that the offense, Matt Patricia will work out the offense. He'll figure it out. It's Snoopy says, talk about Noodle Arm Jones host. Mac Jones didn't play great in this one.
He wasn't great. I didn't think he was terrible or anything. The interception was bad, and I think he had another play where it was really weird that it was such an obvious blitz coming right at his face, and both guys came off the ball. He could have thrown it right at the blitz for an easy 10-yard pickup, and instead he just chucked it into the stands for an intentional grounding. And it was just a bizarre play that it seemed like a pretty basic read that he missed. Like I said, the interception wasn't great. He didn't see Minka Fitzpatrick coming over the top. But I thought he had some good throws too. Him and Myers is a really good connection right now. So I think there's some things still to take away that are positive, and still a lot of things I think to work on.
Yeah. Let's move on. So we have 4 games left. Let's talk some balls. Let's talk Commanders Lions here, where it felt like it took the balls a weirdly long amount of time to realize, hey, if we just throw the ball 30 yards down the field, you don't have to throw it at someone. It'll still be a completion. Just throw it there. You'll be all right. Once they figured that out, I mean, at one point, I think the numbers don't look great, but the numbers after 15 attempts on were actually very good from Washington. But it was too little too late at that point. I mean, Jared Goff. I mean, who would have thought? It's Jared Goff who won MVP.
Yeah, I mean the Lions offense came out like a bat out of hell in this one, and came up with some big plays. How good is Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Yeah, incredible.
I don't even know where to rank this guy because I mean he's incredible. I mean the numbers it's seemingly dating back to the second half of last year, he's almost a touchdown a game basically at this point. I mean he's been unreal since he started to come on late in that season. Maybe he's just one of those guys that's one of the best in football all of a sudden. It's very bizarre, but this Lions offense is rolling right now. They have 71 points through 2 games, which is just an unreal number.
Yeah. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I mean, he was him, and also I can't believe DeAndre Swift only touched the ball 7 times in this game because I felt like he was doing stuff constantly throughout it. He had 5 carries for 56 yards, and he also had 2 catches for 31 yards. So that's probably why getting over 10 yards per touch there. But yeah, I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I mean, him and Swift were the reason the Lions won this game.
Yeah, I mean, those two look explosive. And for a team, I think for a lot of years since Calvin Johnson left, didn't have explosive players, have 2 really explosive players all of a sudden that are making big plays. And they got this team off to a fast start and they were able to hold off. It was just kind of a weird game because, like you said, the Lions jump out in front. They're up 22-0, and it felt like this game's over. Then it's like the Commanders seemed like they controlled all the second half, but it was just too little too late. Carson Wentz had the most Carson Wentz interception ever that it bounced off a guy's face mask and caught by somebody else. I mean, it was just kind of a weird game, but the Lions were able to jump out on them and hold off.
Yeah, I feel like I do the thing a lot early on where I'm I'm not willing to press the panic button yet. I still feel that way about the Commanders. I think losing to the Lions, the Lions are a solid team. I think they lost to them. It's not, the end of the world. Also, we have a super chat saying Amon-Ra St. Brown recorded his 6th straight game with 8+ receptions and at least 1 receiving touchdown, the longest streak by any player in the Super Bowl era. That's crazy. Wow, I did not realize that. So again, incredible stuff by him. And also, I mean, we should also mention the great stat, Aiden Hutchinson, 3 sacks on the day, all in the first half. They were kind of weird sacks. They were odd sacks, but hey, 3 sacks is 3 sacks.
Yeah, I mean, he made some plays, so you got to give him credit for that too. I'm still selling the secondary. I know they pitched a shutout in the first half. Commanders kind of came on, but you can at least say there's good players on the Lions right now, so they have that going for them.
Yeah, I have some concerns about the Washington Commanders defense as well. Again, I know the Lions offense is just red hot right now, but would have liked to see better play from them. I think.
Yeah, and I thought the secondary actually played decent at times in the their first game against the Jaguars, and they didn't look good in this game at all. I mean, they got
Hmm.
torched at times. So, yeah, I mean, it feels like an incomplete Washington team, honestly. Like I could see them. They have some really nice pieces that you really like. They have really nice position groups, but then they also have some really bad position groups. This team, you know, hasn't been able to kind of put a running game together. It seems like for years. Maybe that changes with Brian Robinson in and kind of rounds out this offense a little bit more. But it just kind of feels like an incomplete Washington team.
Yeah. We'll see how those two again two fascinating teams I could see going very different directions depending on the way the season goes. Let's talk about the Thursday night game. Why don't we? Chargers Chiefs. It's a very fun game. Uh, you know, uh, I am a big fan of seeing Twitter melt down at Patrick Mahomes. I feel like Twitter is really not a fan of Patrick Mahomes, and I think I find it enjoyable.
What about it?
It's just like the interceptions getting called back. One was like should have been a penalty, but the other two totally should have been called back. But Twitter was not thrilled.
Yeah. I don't know. It becomes the point where you're the I mean, take it for someone who was a team of the favorite for 20 years.
Hmm.
When you're the favorite, teams are nobody's gonna like you outside of you. So yeah, I don't know. It was a weird game. That's all I got to feel. That's really what I felt about this one because it felt like the Chargers. It felt like one of those. I feel like we've seen this a million times, but also it's one of those just situations where it's like, okay, the Chargers felt like they dominated the first half and they were up 10-7. And
Hmm.
especially when you're doing that on the road, like that just feels like a game you're going to lose because they dominated the first half. They come away with a 3-point lead and you're just like, okay, the Chargers are probably going to lose. And it still took a 99-yard interception return for a touchdown for the Chiefs to pull this one out and win.
Yeah, I think so. Also, to me, the biggest story. What the hell happened to analytic guru Brandon Staley? We don't have coward Brandon Staley. This is not the Brandon Staley that I was a big fan of. Who is this guy?
Uh, he got bullied out of his decision making. I guess
I
that's
guess
that's the
so.
takeaway from this. So, unfortunate, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Like, it was kind of funny to see, but this also isn't a good fourth down execution team. So it's sometimes like, is it worth it to you know maybe play field position or do different things if it comes to it?
Yeah, they were 4 for 4 on fourth downs today in this game.
That's true. So they had that going for them.
Hmm. Well, I mean, when you're playing against Mahomes and you have Justin Herbert, you don't want to go for it on fourth down too many times.
Um, yeah, I guess. No.
Play field
It did
position in
it
that
did
kind of
feel
game.
like they could be a little more aggressive in this game. I agree. So I mean, it was just a weird situation, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe in their exit interview from last year, it said, "Okay, you got to calm down a little bit."
I guess so. I think that maybe an overcorrection, perhaps, this one. Multiple punting on 4th and 2 in Kansas City territory. Also, how about, one of the biggest surprise, Justin Watson birding J.C. Jackson. Didn't see that coming. Didn't have that on my bingo card.
Did not have that on the bingo card. What was the other guy's name? Who was the guy that got pick six? The other Watson, Jalen Watson,
Hmm.
seventh round rookie coming up with a big play. I mean,
Right.
like, I felt like this was a better barometer of what this Chiefs team is. Like that, the Cardinals game seemed to get away from Arizona really fast. I still think that secondary is bad, even though they kind of had a good second half against the Raiders. Like I think this Chiefs team's good, but I think you're going to have some slip ups here because this team's relying on so many young players. Like
Hmm.
there's 5 or 6 rookies that are making serious impacts for this team, and like I think there's going to be some slip ups because I think that there was times where I thought they deserved to lose this game, and they came up with big plays down the stretch. Could this be a little bit of an inconsistent Chiefs team this season? I think.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, they were inconsistent last year, too.
Yeah, that's true. But that was, trying to throw against cover two, I think was the issue, not so much, the roster.
Yeah, that's probably fair. But yeah, I guess I feel it's kind of the same way about both teams. Like, I still want to see more. I guess I feel like I kind of am starting to get the picture, but I feel like there's still a lot I'm confused about
For which team?
for both teams.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a small sample size for all of these teams, so we'll see how it changes. But yeah, I mean, I didn't feel like there was a whole lot separating, but I just think, the Chargers kind of jumped on them and they were kind of dominant. I did feel like the Chargers were dominating this game in a stretch and just weren't able to kind of stick their foot on the throat and end it. And I felt like there was a scenario where this could have been 20-7 at halftime instead of 10-7.
Yeah, I think, and again, kind of what we talked about last week, right? Where the Chargers seemingly have these games where they're dominating and yet still only up by 3 points. So we'll see if that continues. Any final thoughts on that one?
No, I think we just about wrapped that one up.
Okay. Also, I feel a little bad. We'll cover the Panthers Giants now. I feel a little bad. Someone gave a $50 super chat talking about they're excited to hear us talk about the Giants, and we talk about it at 1:17 on the East Coast. So our bad on that one.
Yeah, sorry about that. The New York Giants 2-0. So here's my second buy or sell. Buy or sell Giants contender for the NFC East. What do you think?
Big sell. Hammer to sell. Whatever's the sell button, I'm selling.
Sell it. Selling hard. All right. What do you think of the Giants in this one?
They played all right. I mean, I don't think the Giants are terrible. I'm not like saying the Giants are, a mess. Listen, they're 2-0. You can't take that away from them. But we also have to, be realistic about what happened here, which is they beat a not great football team in the Panthers, and they barely beat them. They beat the Titans week 1. That was an impressive win. But I think there's things that I like about the Giants. I think the Giants are, on the right pathway moving forward. Brian Daboll, undefeated as a head coach. All of that stuff is very fun. I just think that, we sort of got into a discussion about who is the worst quarterback, Baker Mayfield or Daniel Jones. And I think what the conclusion I came to is all the negative things we said about the other quarterback during that discussion proved to be very true.
Yeah, it definitely proved to be very true. Although Daniel Jones didn't fumble today. Baker Mayfield has a 23 QBR through 2 games. So this is another situation where it's just like it. Are you losing anything playing Matt? I mean, the problem is Matt Rule is playing for his job or coaching for his job. So he's probably going to try and put the veteran out there. But are you losing anything at this point playing Matt Corral?
Well, Corral got hurt, right?
Is he?
Yeah, I believe it got hurt like during the preseason. So I don't think that's an option anyway.
Oh, okay. He's on IR. Well, yeah, I mean, it just seems, at this point, Baker Mayfield's got to be warming the seat at this point, right? Because, he's not playing good football, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think if Corral was healthy, I think that's a move you make. Again, I don't know what we're getting out of Sam Darnold other than, he'll have one good pass and some people will still be convinced that he's going to be a starter someday. But as a whole, I think I agree with all of that. The Giants have Tyrod Taylor, right? Do you think about doing that? Or am I wrong?
I guess you got to say Jones has played well enough to be 2-0, so he keeps a job. But I still feel like, I think when you look at this Giants team, this is definitely a team that's in desperate need of a quarterback going in this offseason. I think there's things to like about this team. They're 2-0. They're winning football games. That's
what are the things to like about this team?
I think, you saw flashes of skill position play, I think, in this one where, Saquon's obviously, it wasn't as good as week 1, but I thought he had some tough yards in this one that were good. I think you're looking at guys like Richie James and David Sills. Like, there's at least players here. Like, it's not, I don't think it's a bunch of stiffs on offense. I think that's something.
Were we before the game saying, look out for Richie James and David Sills?
No, of course not.
They played well today. I will give you that.
So I think that they have. I think there's players on this team. I think they need an upgrade though. And I don't think Tyrod Taylor is going to make that much of a difference.
Yeah, you're probably right. Daniel Bellinger had a good catch, the rookie tight end. And how about Kadarius Toney? 2 catches for 0 yards. Kadarius Toney is back, baby.
He's your guy, man. Ride or die.
Oh man, that might be the worst take of all time. That has a chance there. It's such a loaded wide receiving class, having him wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I think I think the Bengals might think about Kadarius Toney for Jamar Chase straight up.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Dolphins Waddle is all right, but only if we had Toney.
Yeah. Giants defense looked pretty good too. So
defense looked good.
Yeah, this defense I think is solid at least. And as long as if Daniel Jones doesn't, make mistakes, maybe they'll keep him in games, but at the same time, asking Daniel Jones not to make mistakes still feels like a lot at this point.
Yeah. Kyle, you picked the Panthers to win week 1. You picked the Panthers to win week 2. To play the Saints next week. Will you be picking them to win that game?
I think I'm done picking the Panthers for a little bit. That's
okay.
For sure.
You want to get off the Baker Mayfield ride?
Yeah, I think I'm done for a little bit. Although I still like, the Browns game, they kind of had one and they didn't win it. And I
Hmm.
still feel like there's, they've lost 2 games by a combined total of 5 points. Like it hasn't been a disaster, I feel like, for the Panthers.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I agree with that. Although again, not the best competition they're losing to.
No, I agree, but at the same time, like I th- they've looked like a plucky 0-2 team. They're still 0-2.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that again, I'm interested in seeing where the Giants are going. I am being harsh on them, but I do think that I just think they're a year away. I think that they have some things I like.
Yeah. Um, if not more than a year away. They got to fight. They got to figure out this quarterback thing. I think we have
Yeah,
enough of a sample size that Jones is undefeated this season, but I think we have enough sample size that this isn't going to work out.
yeah, probably not. Uh, again, they could have just drafted one of those, guys in the 5th round, whatever. Last game, Seahawks Niners. We were talking pre-show about like I feel like Red Zone had this game just on the entire time. I don't know why Red Zone. Maybe the person who's in charge of that is a 49ers fan or something. I didn't get that. This game was, I would say, the most boring game of the week. The one biggest takeaway though is the most unfortunate takeaway. Trey Lance gets the injury. I believe is out for the season now at this point. I mean, that sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, this game was on all the time, by the way, because the 49ers had the ball the entire time. I mean, they ran
Uh-huh.
70 plays, which is just absurd. I get, on the injury, it's just a bummer. I mean, he got off to, I thought, it was a few plays, but he was off to a decent start in this game, too. And this was a game that we felt like could kind of build his confidence as a passer because this Seahawks pass defense is cheeks, as the kids say. And I mean, it was just kind of a freak injury, and it sucks to see it kind of go down. And I mean, I'm just worried about it because it's at this point where he's going to miss this season. I don't think this is going to be an easy injury to come back from. I mean, I think it's just a bummer because this guy who his mobility is so important to what makes him successful, and who knows what that's going to look like after this. I hope it's a healthy recovery, um, and I hope he's able to come back and play well. And I think you look at it and good thing they didn't trade Jimmy Garoppolo because their season would be basically over at this point, right?
Yeah, and I was pounding the table. Trade Jimmy Garoppolo. What are they doing? Well, it worked out. I still think the right strategy would have been to get rid of him, but or even cut him. But yeah, it worked out well for them. Again, the Seahawks have one of those hilarious stat lines like Geno Smith. A horrible stat line. All the running backs, horrible stat lines. All the wide receivers, 35 yards or less, except for Tyler Lockett, who had 107 yards. It's like Tyler Lockett the great, and everyone else was struggling.
I watched the Seahawks team, and I mean, first of all, they had some of the most ridiculous plays I've ever seen in my life. They had that DJ Dallas handoff, which listen, DJ Dallas, South Georgia kid, he played quarterback in high school. Didn't look
Mhm.
like it on that play. Hasn't thrown a ball in a while. I don't think.
Yeah.
Um, I watched the Seahawks team, and even in week one, where emotional win in week one with Russell Wilson coming back, you're able to go and get that win. Um, they had a couple broken plays that they basically turned into touchdowns on that one. Everything for this offense looks hard at this point. They're
Hmm.
running this pistol wishbone formation that looks dumb when it happens, and then usually the play is dumb on the
Hmm.
execution because it just seems like it makes it way too easy to defend their outside receivers, which is the only thing this offense has decent right now. And so, why make it easy to cover your outside receivers when they're the only thing you have going? Why aren't you moving these guys around, putting them in the slot, doing different things to make them successful? It just seems weird the way they got set up. Everything looks hard for this offense, and it makes it really hard to execute and win games when you can't create easy plays for your talented players.
Yeah. George Costanza 6.0 says Seahawks have 2 players named Michael Jackson and 1 named Kobe Bryant, and they still lost. Look, how's that for sabermetrics? I mean, no other podcast bringing you this kind of knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, you think with the powers of Mike and Kobe, you're able to make it work, but I guess not. I don't know. This is a bad football team, and this is the kind of the football team we were expecting to see most of the season. They were able to pull out that win against Denver, but they looked
It's
lifeless
their
in this
Super Bowl
one.
hangover.
Yes, it really is, and it's probably going to last the whole season.
Yeah, but that's fine. Isn't that the perfect? If you're a Seahawks fan, isn't that what you want? A 1-16 season with the 1 win being against the Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Hmm.
So as long as they beat Russell Wilson, they don't need to win. They don't need to
Yeah.
win another game.
Yeah. My only real thought on the 49ers is like, okay, they look like a good, I think this is good evidence to support last week was, in fact, just a bad weather game, and they look like they're, the 49ers that we expected them to be.
Yeah, I think so. I thought Jimmy G came in and threw the ball pretty well too. I think that they ran the ball, obviously, exceptionally as the Niners do. My guy Kyle Juszczyk, the Juice, with the touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Love me some fullback touchdowns here, and yeah, the Niners look fine. Everything looks fine again.
Yeah. How about Nick Bosa 2 sacks as well. So good game all across. Great week of football. We're off to a great start here, 2 weeks in. And Wednesday we do it all over again. We will be previewing week 3. Hopefully I will remember to put the audio feeds up on this podcast because I keep forgetting the past couple. So sorry about that, everyone.
Yeah, make sure to do that, and we'll get that back to you, and it'll be back to the grind. I'm gonna get better on my picks. I promise, people. Once I start calibrating these teams properly, I promise.
I mean, I think
I hope so.
I feel like the people want us to be wrong on the picks, right?
Yeah, everybody wants us to be wrong.
Yeah, they're rooting against it. The Patriots play the Ravens next week. That might be a tough one.
Well, as we showed once again, even when we're bad, we own the Steelers. So I think it's true that we probably own the Ravens still anyways. We did beat the Ravens in the past. So
but I think the Ravens, I think that's been like a healthy rivalry. I think that's been like a 50-50 rivalry. No? I mean, they've gotten you into playoffs.
We own the NFL for 20 years. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. We own the NFL.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. I mean, obviously the Patriots are all, but the Ravens beat the Patriots twice in the playoffs. I mean, for the Patriots being the Patriots, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I just want to sign off with that on one more time. The Patriots, no matter what, still own the Steelers. That's all that matters.
Okay. Kyle, you're very much, reminiscing now.
Yes. I don't care. Listen, I'd rather reminisce than watch this football team. So
that might be reasonable. Listen, I'm sure next year I'll be reminiscing about this year. So I'm enjoying it now with what's happening. Kyle, let me know where can I find us on Twitter before we head out. Again, thanks to everyone for listening. Hour and a half in.
Yeah. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Gronin. And then make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK on Twitter. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Yes. Again, anywhere, if you like audio podcast, sometimes I post the audio feeds. Anywhere you get your podcast, those should be available. Again, sorry, the last 2 weeks, last 2 podcasts, I forgot to post there. I'm just not that smart. That's the only reason for that. But check that out. Again, thanks to everyone for, people watching at 1:30 on the East Coast here with us. We do appreciate it. Or if you're watching after the fact, we appreciate that as well. Or listening after the fact. Kyle, any final thoughts before we head out?
Great week of football. Looking forward to Monday night. We got some good games on the docket, and good stuff. Good stuff all around for football right now. High school football's buzzing. College football, we got some good stuff happening, and the NFL, of course, is awesome.
Yeah, and baseball's winding up. Aaron Judge, 59 home runs now? Crazy.
I've checked out on baseball. I don't care.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, if I was a Red Sox fan, I would as well.
Although we might sign Aaron Judge, so that'd be cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, future. My friends and I were drunkenly listing. We were at a Rays Yankees game, and we were drunkenly listing off the teams that we felt like Aaron Judge might go to next year. And some Yankees fans were not thrilled with us.
Who made your list?
Well, it was a lot of like future. I think it was like future Met Aaron Judge. Future Red Sox, Aaron Judge, just whatever would make the Yankees fans the most angry. It seemed like Mets was the real one.
Yeah, I guess that would make sense. I mean, that guy's just splashing cows on everything, so maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. Interesting. All right, that's it for Aaron Judge talk. Thank you to everybody. We do appreciate it, and we'll see you again Wednesday at some time. We do appreciate it, and until next time, see you later, alligator.
Peace.